Welcome to this week's Ask, the show where we try and answer all your questions about mountain biking because we are two experts. Well, definitely one of them. Right, Neil, I'm going to start off with this question for you, actually.
Yeah, hit me with it.
And it's from Shilly, and they say, can you do an interview with Neil?
With me?
Yeah, with you. One good video to talk about what happened with your accident in the crash, everything, what led up to it, and how you're doing, and some tips for recovering. It's a good idea.
Well, I'm doing all right, thanks.
Yeah.
5 weeks ago, I crashed my road bike into a car. My fault, went around a corner too fast. And I broke my ankle, broke my jaw, had bleeding on the brain, knocked all my teeth in.
Oh my goodness.
So I've got a gum thing on. My ankle's doing good. I can pedal the bike a little bit.
You're waddling around very well.
Getting on all right on my feet.
Yeah.
Doing
But
all right.
I think an in-depth video about that and talking about how to recover is actually a really good idea. That's a good suggestion. So something we could maybe
I've had a few injuries, and you probably have as well with riding, like rehabbed my shoulders, do lots of things in the gym, and I've just started doing that with my ankle actually. So it's an important thing to do when you get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Finn High says, can I put a BMX fork on my downhill bike? Well, that was a gear change.
I would say it's probably not possible. And you probably shouldn't do it anyway.
But you'd have to run a 20-inch wheel on the front.
You would, and a downhill bike's 1 1/8 anyway. I don't think BMX bikes are 1 1/8 steering. Maybe they are actually, but don't do it.
And we've got to put a big Y at the front of that. Why would you?
Maybe we should.
Now you've got us interested. What else we got?
Paul Fritzl, any tips on riding through sand on a non-plus or fat bike? Also, any tips on maintenance after riding through sand?
Well, I tell you what, I haven't got any tips on the maintenance. I'm going to let you do that. But as far as riding through sand, momentum is key.
Yeah.
Because once you've lost it, you're done.
Very true.
You're getting nowhere.
You have to lean back a little bit,
Yeah.
try and keep the front wheel floating almost.
Absolutely. Yeah, that feeling, it kind of just sort of kind of glides across, keep your weight back. But that actually does make it quite hard to keep pedaling.
Yeah.
It is hard to ride on sand, it is.
Any sand on your chain or in a bearings is going to absolutely wreck it, so make sure you clean your bike afterwards.
There's a race every year, isn't there? It starts on sand.
There's one in the UK, Battle on the Beach, is it called?
Hellish.
I think it is.
Hellish, yeah. Keep your weight back, keep moving. What about maintenance, Neil? What do you do about maintaining your bike after sand? Just buy everything new?
Yes. Born to be free. So I'm a light fella and rarely gets pinch flats, but it does get a fair amount of cactus punctures. Not from the UK, obviously. Yeah. Should I go full tubeless or should I go to slime tubes?
Oh, well, a bit of support there in the tube is good, but I don't know, something like that. Is it
tubeless? Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what it's designed for, really, to be honest, I think. So definitely go tubeless. And we've got a video on top 5 mistakes you'll make on going tubeless, so watch that and don't make any of them.
So another tubeless setup mistake that people often make is not having a correct pump to get your tubeless system inflated in the first place. In an ideal world, you want to use a compressor, and a lot of bike shops have these, and you might have a friend that does. The good thing about a compressor is you get a constant flow of air at a good rate, so your tyre's just going to pop out into place first time. So the next best thing is to have one of these sort of style pumps that have got a compressed canister built into them. So using the pump handle itself, you inflate this, and when you're ready, you can actually release the air all in one hit.
Next question coming in from Suprod says, can I change a larger wheel size, e.g. 26 to 27.5 without changing the frame?
I would say no. It's technically possible. I've done this myself when 27.5 just came out. I swapped my Santa Cruz Bronson, I think. I made it 27.5 for a race, but the front tyre was very close to the fork, so you could change the fork. But most frames, you'll be very close on tyre clearance, so I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, also you're going to get into the bottom bracket issue.
Geometries can change.
The bottom bracket drop or rise?
Oh, God.
We haven't quite worked that one out, have we? Yeah, that's a good one to bring up. Okay, Owen Cooper says, what's your favourite bikes?
That's a great question.
Yeah, well, how would you answer that? Favourite bike or favourite bike as in downhill cross country?
Well, mine changes all the time. At the moment, my favourite type of bike is a cross country bike. I really like going for long rides. Some of the modern bikes with like 120, 100 mil travel are really amazing bikes. So I can't believe how light and fast they are. That's my favourite bike at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm in love with downhill bikes at the moment. There's a few out there I'm really lusting over, but
is this the Whistler effect?
Yeah, it might be the Whistler effect. It could be. One of my favourite bikes of all time is a downhill bike, and it was the Honda that Greg Minnaar used to ride.
I rode one of those.
Did you?
I stole it off Brendan Fairclough. I wasn't looking. I was a bit disappointed.
Don't say that, Neil. Don't say it. Blake, favourite bike? Zender, good answer. Good answer,
well.
nice.
Mama of two, I rode my first race, women's only, on the weekend. What tips do you have for recovery? It was a 3-hour race and I've only ever ridden for 2 hours at the most. Felt dead, had a great day with around 100 other women.
Well, I'm going to say rest. I always say rest, whether it's about injuries or recoveries. Make sure you do have the right amount of rest. Neil, anything else?
Food, the proper food after you finish, so a bit of protein, all that stuff is really important. And then maybe a gentle recovery ride day after can really help your legs, especially if you've got sore legs.
Yeah. Recovery rides a really interesting one actually, because when your legs are sore, you're thinking the last thing you need to do is go for a ride. Now, I remember being at the end of a World Cup cross-country race once, watching Alison Seidel. I think she was 3 times world champion. Come over the finishing line. She had just won the World Cup, and you're thinking, man, she must be tired. She went for an hour-long recovery ride immediately after the race.
Oh my God.
Now, that puts it into perspective. You know, that recovery ride's really important, and those top pros are using them all the time. First thing they do is get on a bike after they've just won a race. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, if that's not enough information about recovery rides, then why don't you check out our video about how to recover after a ride and all the ways you can do it.
Doing very little is what you need to do sometimes to recover, and that's really important when it comes to getting fitter and stronger. Whilst proper rest is important, it's also good to get moving. You're really looking for a low effort when you're riding, just to get the legs spinning and move away some of that lactic acid. You're really looking for the lowest intensity possible, so don't go hard on those climbs, try and keep your heart rate down, and don't go for more than about an hour.
Kai-Ho asks, what do you do when you're not cycling?
Oh, you know what? When I'm not in the shed or when I'm not out mountain biking, I do something really interesting. I go hand biking.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, I do a lot of cycling, really.
I don't know what I do. Hang out with family. Got a little man at home, so I like doing stuff with him. I like tinkering with bikes. I've got an old motorbike in my garage, so I go in there and spend hours, messing around with bikes.
It's a lot of bikes.
A lot of
bikes, really. It's generally what we do. Animatrix says, I'm 15, thinking of entering first race. Good on you. Do you think I should enter a hardtail category or my age group? That's interesting. I've noticed a lot of people in his age group have got nice full sus bikes, and he doesn't know if that's an unfair advantage.
I did the same thing. I started racing when I was 15 on a hardtail. Depends if it's downhill. We don't know what type of racing it is actually. If it's downhill, yeah, the full suspension bikes are going to be a bit quicker probably, but I would say just jump in your age category. It's great to learn on a hardtail, so just do that.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to get yourself, find your level against other riders. It's important.
DJ Addict 13, can you make a video on how to clean tubeless tyre sealant?
I can't, but you might be able to.
I would say best thing you do is if it gets on your bike or on your tyres, if it dries out, it really sticks to it. So just wash it off, hose it off as soon as you can. I actually use a brush as well because, like I say, it makes it horrible. It sticks to your bike and then dirt sticks to that. It's horrible. So get it off there as soon as you can.
Marius Hilkert says, how does a steeper or slacker seat angle affect the riding, and what is better for downhills for riding with a saddle slammed?
Doesn't really make any difference when you're going downhill. It's when you're seated climbing. So a steeper seat angle means you sit on top of the BB a bit better, and it's much nicer to climb. Yeah. As soon as you're stood up, it doesn't matter. So for downhill, it doesn't really make much difference, to be honest.
Yeah, and you slam that seat out of the way just to give yourself more riding room.
Maria Storupelu. Sorry, I've ruined the name. Can you teach me how to nollie? Do you know what a nollie is?
A nollie is a skateboard trick, and on a mountain bike, a nollie is the very same thing.
It's a backwards bunny hop.
It's a backwards bunny hop. Back wheel up first, front wheel follows.
It's actually kind of easy, but we haven't done a video on that yet. No. Blake's done a video on how to nose bonk, which is quite similar.
Yeah, it is actually, because you kind of do that same motion. Yeah. Maybe start there. Yeah, maybe have a look at that one.
Welcome to my class. Today I'm going to teach you on how to nose press or nose bonk out there on the trails.
Oh, time for the quickfire round. Neil, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, here we go then. Dark Side Pryor says, do brakes need servicing aside from replacing pads and bleeding?
Not really.
Okay, good answer. Keanu Innes, when is the next Dirt Shed show?
Tomorrow.
Lou Patrick Aguila says, can you fit a 26er tyre and tube to a 27.5 rim?
Tube, yes. Tyre, no.
Good. Where's Neil?
There we are.
Kashivo San Hado says, where are you all, in England or the USA?
Well, England, but we travel a lot.
We do, we get around. Veos M says, my SBD cleat squeaks. What can he do?
There'll be the pedals, put a bit of chain lube on them.
Good idea, that's the way to go. David Perry, there is no rotation marks on my Dirty Dan, is that right?
Oh, damn. I bet there are, I just have to look a bit closer.
I don't understand that question.
I've never seen a tyre without rotation marks.
And that is the end.
Is that
it's a
it?
tyre. I get it now, I get it. I was wondering, what the hell is that? It's the end of the quickfire round. Let's get out of this while we can. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Neil, you've got to help out Ian Whitehead because he's been practicing his bunny hops over in Brisbane in Australia.
Well done.
He's doing pretty good, but on this pile of logs he's trying to jump over, his front wheel's hitting, his timing's a bit out, the back wheel is clearing the logs, but the front wheel's kind of kicking off the first log. What's wrong?
Oh, there's a good slow-mo here. Big pump, that definitely works. But if you look, Ian stays quite central above the bike. So the big thing with bunny hops is trying to move down, like you did, great big pump, but then moving back. You want your hips to roll back. That's going to lift the front wheel, and then your hips need to go up and forward to lift the back wheel. So it's that back to forward motion that you really need. And that's probably the most common mistake I see with bunny hops. I think we should probably do another video on this soon, but definitely try and get back and then forward. Yeah,
and I'd also add that I'm actually doing quite a skillful bit of riding there because you're knocking the front wheel off of those first logs as if you were going to use them as a little ramp, but then bunny hopping. Now, if you wanted to do that as a skill in its own right, it's quite difficult. So don't feel too bad, but yeah, it's not quite a bunny hop and it's not quite a jump. So yeah, Neil's advice will probably sort that out.
Keep sending your videos to ask@gmbn.com. We'll take a look.
Thanks for watching this week's show. If you've got any questions, then leave them in the comment section down below and we'll get on to them next week.
Yeah, definitely. I love this video. It's great. Trying to answer people's questions.
Yeah, it's good fun.
If you want to see another video, click over here for Bike Park versus Natural, a great video from Whistler.
Yeah, and another one from Whistler. Click just here for top 5 things not to do in a bike park.
Give us a thumb up and subscribe if you haven't done already by clicking on this logo.
Absolutely, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up like.
I don't forget, I told them that already.
Oh, did you?